So what do you think about crime and punishment?
Well, the thing that really pisses me off is that you will get a slap over the wrist. You know, what you do is you break a bottle in the bloke's face and he has 28 million scars and he's bashed up and he has to have his face rearranged. You do that, you'll get, get off with 6 months good behaviour. But if you steal $100,000...
Oh, touch the till, mate. Yeah, woo. Life.
25 years.
Nail him up. Nail him up.
So we live in a society that puts more value on money than a person's life.
Yes, absolutely. You look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it all the time. Frequent offenders who may have a list as long as your arm, and yet they somehow get away with another offence.
It was his childhood. He suffered as a child. Bob.
Oh, right. Well, how do they get such a long list of, crimes?
Well, obviously they put their nose to the grindstone, We've got something to work for.
Can't argue that.
I look in a paper and you see it on the telly all the time. Somebody's been done, it's his 42nd offence, and he gets 2 weeks in prison. 42nd offence!
Yeah. Oddly enough,
bit of leg round the left ear will be alright,
we can't do that anymore. No. Oddly enough, if you notice, Darry, crime and punishment is not on the political agenda. They mention it, they touch on it, but it's all about hospitals, healthcare, education, which are very, very important. But crime and punishment is very important, but it's a bit of a political hot potato, isn't it?
It is a political hot potato.
Well, we're talking about crime and punishment and all the rest of them. These TV shows now, these NCIS and CSI and CSIRO and all the rest of it. The Crips are watching it now. So that tipped off on procedure, right? I mean, you can't win.
Yeah, clean up after you, boys. Don't leave any crime evidence.
Another thing that really pisses me off these days is the pressure that our coppers are under. Now, the cop commanders get up on television and they say, oh, no, we don't have a quota system. No, definitely not. We've got KPIs. I mean, the coppers have got to meet certain key performance indicators. It's a wank. They're telling you lies. These cops see them at the end of the month. They've got to go out and they've got to make so many bookings. Even the poor buggers that have got really responsible jobs like, catching criminals and that, they've still got to meet these so many arrests or so many bookings a month. The telling thing is, wait until a local government council changes the speed limit. Okay, the street down past my house used to be 80. For years it was 80. Suddenly they've rezoned it to 50. The week it was rezoned, mate, the cops were lining up on the footpath with their speed cameras. It was the end of the month. Hope you got your indicators, fellas.
We get angry about looking at, signs on the road telling us what to do and what not to do, and they go from 80 to 50 to 40 to 50 to 80 and all that sort of stuff. But have you ever noticed, well, I certainly have, driving up the Midlands Highway, half of them are full of holes.
Yeah, are we supposed to have the toughest gun rules in the country? Yeah, people must be hanging out of cars to 110 shooting at signs.
Yeah, well, gets me, brother.
Yeah, what has the signs ever done to people?
I don't know where to begin. I do not know where to begin. I mean, largely the population, certainly in Tasmania, are sort of, nice, ordinary people. Law-abiding citizens, but you have the element, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got this element that are, I suppose I could describe it as, in one or two words, fuckwits.
Yeah, that's the best word.
I know.
Yeah.
And it never ceases to amaze me that nothing is ever done about these things. Nothing is ever done about these people. We know who they are, we know what they do, nothing ever gets done.
No. So there's an Australian term, bogan, it's a benefit of people that are not Australian. Bogan equals like a pikey, not as bad as a pikey. For the benefit of people in Australia, a pikey is 10 times worse than a bogan. But you're getting there, aren't you?
Yes, right. 10 times worse and some more some.
Yeah.
When you're talking about your pikey. But you're right.
You can always tell when a bogan's moved into your street because the first thing that appears is redundant white goods in the front garden.
Yeah.
Engine blocks.
That's right.
An old car.
Yeah.
Packaging just blowing and swilling around the garden. That's a sure sign and it only takes one family to contaminate a whole street.
And then it's knackered, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole street's knackered.
That's it.
You know?
And it can happen in any street because the councils, they buy the odd house in the street to house people that they've probably fucked up the house they was in before, so they've bought another house for them, and they go in your street and they can ruin.
And they're
your
doing
street.
the same, and legally they've got to be housed, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, something really pisses me off. Well, one of the many things you see.
I was just about to say,
Yeah, right.
would you like a list?
No, it's the fact that there's people who know how to work the system. And that really gets to me because there's a lot of poor buggers out there that really work hard, find themselves in dire circumstances. They have to jump the ropes at bloody Centrelink, and Centrelink and some snooty little bugger in there gives them a rough time. And meanwhile, some beanie bloody bedecked dickhead waltzes in, picks up his cheque. No worries, did you work? Did you find work this week? Nah, stuff you. Okay, then there's your cheque. I mean, the preferential treatment in all of the little bits and pieces they get too, because they know how to work the bloody system, mate. But the poor old, battler, and I mean the battler that's had a bit of a rough trot, he's the one that's out of pocket. He's the one that they can't do anything for.
Of course, your bogan, Mick. They're a privileged breed. Your bogan and your pikey are privileged breeds, because they get everything that they're entitled to and more.
Some things they're not entitled to.
Exactly. And they know how to play the system. They know that they can go down the local government agency or whatever it is and the equivalent. If they start shouting and spouting every ball people want to do is appease them, send them off with a cheque and walk out the door.
Yeah.
You and I want anything like that, mate? No chance.
No, because we're working people. We go in there. If we fall on hard times, we're just shown the door, aren't we?
Exactly, shown the door. Yeah.
These
people, they know how to play the system. They might have 10 kids all by different fathers and mothers, and they get money thrown at them. They get houses thrown at them, and everybody accepts it.
Yeah.
And they're in this cycle. They're in this cycle of that their father did it, their mothers did it, and grandfathers and great grandfathers, and in this never-ending cycle.
I know. I think people are generally frightened of them, aren't they?
Oh,
so that's why they give it to them.
That's right. They are.
They just want them to go.
Get intimidated by them, and Us, what do we get?
Fuck all.
Fuck all.
In a fish and chip shop not so long ago out in the northern suburbs, and this mouthy little tough 11, 12, 13-year-old sort of barged in, and he's all attitude and I was just waiting my turn, and he come in and he said, "Cheerio roll and 2 potato cakes, cock." And old Mario behind the bar ignored him, and behind the counter ignored him, and I turned and said, "Excuse me mate, I was first." And this kid said, "Stiff shit." So I said, "Mario, the maggot wants a service. Stiff shit, he's changed his order. You'll grow up into a big handsome blowfly one of these days, won't you, cock?"
You've got these hoons running around with these cars, and they're doing wheelies, they're doing burnouts in the street, and there are TV shows that show them how to do it.
Yeah.
TV shows which will show them how to let their tyres down, how to do this Japanese drifting or whatever they call it, these competitions, and they're just getting away with it.
And the attitude of kids today, now that's something that really gives me the shits, what they need is a good clip around the ear, a kick up the arse. I remember as a mouthy 10 or 11-year-old, Constable Farrelly, the town copper, scruffed me, I was being lippy over something, took me round behind the bicycle shed, gave me a decent beating up, not too bad, kick in the bum and a clip round the ear, and read my fortune. I must say I've thanked Constable Farrelly ever since, because he showed me a bit of respect for authority and a bit of discipline in my life. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Last year, there was this newspaper article that the Victorian government was going to spend something like, $10 million to get school kids to learn respect. Now, that used to be the job of the parents.
Yeah.
That's what you did as a parent. You taught your kids not only how to wipe your nose and wipe your ass and do your shoes up, but you taught them to respect your elders, or respect your siblings, and respect your mother and father. And now, the taxpayers have got to pay $10 million so that these oinks these bogans, these chavs, these whatever you want to call them, respect, man. Respect.
Money well spent, I say.
Have you ever seen pictures of the World Championship skateboarding titles or whatever they are?
Oddly enough, I don't watch things like
No,
that.
no. Well, I tend to see snippets of this stuff, and so they're doing the World Championship skateboarding. And you'd think, nice ramps. They do those half pipe things up and down. Oh no. It's only one bit of it.
Yeah.
So their World Championship is jumping on benches, park railings, all the handrails, all of that type of stuff. And these kids are everybody else here, these kids think, well, that is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go down the local park, and I'm going to jump on benches and walls and stuff like that. And I think it's normal.
And there I was all the time thinking that a skateboard is a kid's toy.
That's right. I mean, what was our skateboard when we was kids?
Book and skate.
Yeah, Beano book and an old roller skate.
Yeah.
And if you had rubber wheels, you was lucky, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah.
I was actually doing some recruiting for Navy once, and I had my Navy uniform on, and this smart-ass 18-year-old come up, 5 of his mates, and he said, "You wouldn't catch me in a uniform." And I looked at them. They all had hoodies, they all had baseball caps on back the front, they all had daggy, baggy, dirty, scruffy jeans, and they all had sneakers. Uniform? They wouldn't even know the fucking meaning of a word.
Why do people that aren't in the armed services or a terror organisation wear camouflage clothing in public?
Very good point.
You go to a supermarket and it's this bloody 17-year-old pimply youth who's wearing bloody fatigue trousers on, and you get all these other dickheads wandering around with these bloody hats on that look like, they've just come out of the bloody jungles of Borneo.
Well, it's the closest they come to national service, isn't it?
Who sells it to them? Where do they get it from? Off the bloody internet or eBay or whatever it is?
Now, there's something I want to touch on, Keith, which is a little bit controversial and does seem to get people's hackles up a lot.
Mick, this DVD is going nowhere. Be as controversial as you like. It don't matter. You can say what you like, within reason, as long as you don't offend anyone. And which is easy to do these days.
It is.
I mean, everybody these days is so precious.
Oh, tell me about it.
You can't say, oh.
Well, anyway, I'm going to
Go
say
on,
it.
say it. Go.
I'm going to say it. Is it me, or I've known a lot of gay men in my time.
Have you?
Yeah, I have, over the years.
Really?
And they're great company. Yes. Yes. They're great company, a great sense of humour. I like the gay humour. And their repartee, I think, is excellent. But what really gets on my nerves are these outrageously effeminate gay men. These men that flaunt an effeminateness that just doesn't exist. Because women don't act the way they do.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I totally agree. Why don't you tell the story? I love this story. Why don't you tell the story when you was in the lift during the in Sydney? I really suspect that you bought the tickets to coincide with the Gay Olympics. But anyway, I'm saying no more. So you was in the lift with at the Gay
in 2002, my wife and I was in Sydney, and it coincided with the Gay Olympics. And the hotel that we stayed in was the headquarters of the American gay team, male and female.
Which is all you want, isn't it? Yeah. All you need.
And I think we were about the only straight people in the hotel. And we got into the lift to go up to our room, which was, I think, it was on about the 10th floor. And some American athletes got in with us. And I think they were going up to about the 8th floor and pushed the buttons. And one particular gay man that was in there, I mean, he was stunningly handsome for a man. He had.
I'm getting a bit worried about you, Nick.
His hair was perfect. He had beautiful teeth, lovely and white. He was polite, and he really was a stunningly handsome man. Now I could hear my wife going, "Whoa." But anyway, the lift for some reason never stopped at the 8th floor. And instead of going, oh, it hasn't stopped, which any man or woman would say, he went oh, it hasn't stopped at our floor. And I looked at him, and I turned to my wife and was going, fucking hell. And my point is, women don't act like that. If we'd have gone past our floor, I'm sure my wife would have turned to me and said, "Didn't you push the button?" Or why hasn't it stopped?
Why are all these people that do links from Hollywood to the Australian TV networks for fashion or for entertainment, and they're all outrageously gay, effeminate men? It's got to be. Is it on the application form?
It must be a prerequisite for the job.
It's got to be. It's got to be. You know,
Yeah.
because they're all like it, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
You know, and I'm nothing against them. You know, but it's like those when you see the gay Mardi Gras. I mean, okay, by all means, they want to have a gay Mardi Gras and stuff like that. There's no need to go dressed up as nuns, is there? There's no need to walk down the street. They're all walking down there with those trousers that they got the arse cut out of them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is there need for that? Touching one another up, holding hands, kissing openly, but you know, I don't think there's
Well, that's
anything.
another thing. I mean, my wife and I have been married for many years, and we still hold hands when we walk down the street and cross the road, things like that. But we don't walk down the street groping one another, which is what the gays do.
That's right, exactly.
You know,
All the
and-
time.
and
It's like a statement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's as though they want to push it on you all the time, and there's no need for it. I mean, it's. I don't care if someone's gay. It doesn't. I've known a lot of gay men, and it's never been a problem to me. But I don't like it when they sort of they want to be controversial. That's what
All
it
the
is.
time, yeah. I mean, I'm not gay. I've been shagged by somebody who is. You know. Now, in the Examiner, I'm going back a few weeks now. They had a story about the most influential Tasmanians over the last decade.
Yeah.
Now, you know, Mick, you haven't been here that long.
No.
I've been here a little bit longer, but I just thought I'd run it past you and think, you know, who do you think would have been in that, just say the top three of influential Tasmanians over that time?
Yeah, I've thought about this, and it's a bit of a tough call because, you know, it's to do a bit of research and have a look at it. Now, at number 3, and I have to admit, it's a bit of a cop-out, but nevertheless, you don't have to be here very long to know that there is a lot of people in Tasmania that do a lot of good that don't get any publicity at all. You know, you get the usual organisations like the Rotary Club, and there's a club called the Lions Club, and they help out and do as much as they can. And I think they influence a lot of people. People that are around them are, you know, are sort of inspired to go out and help people, and they do a lot of great charitable acts. So they would be at number 3.
Right.
Now, number 2 and number 1 is a toughie. But number 2, I'm going for a woman, born in Hobart, educated in Hobart. She then went to university in Melbourne, and she found her way to America. Her name is Elizabeth Blackburn, and she's just won the Nobel Prize for Medicine.
Which is no mean feat, is it?
No, it's not. Because although she was, she's now lives and works in the United States, the fact remains that you do not win a Nobel Prize on the shirt tails of someone else. You win it because you deserve it.
Over many, many years.
Yes. And the influence she must have on young Tasmanians going to university here, especially that are majoring in medicine, must be fantastic. And it's a fantastic achievement that she's done. So she's the same age as us, Keith, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
She's walked away with a Nobel Prize. So well done, Elizabeth. You know, you thoroughly deserved it. Then we come to number 1. Now, number 1 is a politician, which is very unusual, and I'm sure you'll be a bit surprised at that. And that politician is the ex-Premier Jim Bacon. Now, I didn't know Jim Bacon, Keith did, but he is universally credited with pulling Tasmania out of the basket case economy that it used to be. And I think that he is universally respected throughout, right across the political divide. It's easy. What happened with Jim, he had to resign from the premiership through ill health, and he died of cancer soon after. So it's very easy to talk well of someone who's died. But what the feeling I get as a newcomer to Tasmania is that Jim Bacon was universally respected here, and it doesn't matter what party you belong to, he did do a good job, and now Tasmania is really at the forefront, especially technology in the state. It's a great achievement by him, so he's my number one.
Tasmanian of the decade, I'd have to think about that, because I guess I'm nearly eligible. I've been here for more than a decade, but I'm not sure of one that's done the most. One guy that did a lot get us in the news heaps of time was that fucking Richard Butler. I mean, I think he did a lot for Tasmania and did a lot for himself at the same time.
My vote for Tasmanian of the decade would have to go to John Gray. I mean, John got rid of all those bloody trees we didn't want, looked at the share price of guns, sold it out for how many $1 million that he put in his back pocket, and then pissed off into obscurity. Well done, John. You're my sort of guy.
Now, this is off the top, folks. My heroes of the decade. I'd have to say John Gay. I think not. Richard Butler. Oh, you've got to be joking. Is he still here? Was he the governor? I can't really remember. Talk about a touch fondle play. He wasn't well. It was the medication. No, seriously, my heroes of the last decade. It doesn't matter about your political allegiance. I'd have to say, in all sincerity, Jim Bacon and Nobel Prize winner Elizabeth Blackburn. Absolute gem.
I'd probably have to agree about Jim Bacon being Tasmanian of the decade.
Well, a lot of people would feel that way, because Jim did a lot of good work, and it's always been said that Tasmania was a basket case, and he was the man that, changed it. Look, I don't know. To me, too tough. I really, honestly can't pick anybody.
We'll go the other way. Who was the un-Tasmanian of the decade?
Oh, God, I can't think of that either.
How about that bloke that knocked all that money off of banjos?
Oh, he'll do.
So, the Examiner newspaper. Who did they choose as the Tasmanian of the decade, Keith?
Ricky Ponting, Mick.
Ricky fucking Ponting.
Ricky Ponting.
A cricketer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does he do? He whacks a bit of leather around an oval pitch with a lump of wood, and he is your most influential Tasmanian of the decade. Give me a fucking break.
Now, he's a good cricketer, Keith.
I'm not saying he ain't.
No one's
I ain't saying
denying
he
that.
ain't. No. I ain't saying he ain't.
But is he the most influential Tasmanian? I don't think so.
Get a life, eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Moore. We have called you to see
no.
land. Ah, yes, indeed. And if you sign up, that doesn't it infuriate you, though? When will they learn, this is call centres, right?
Yes.
I've probably got off the track here a bit, but when will they learn that it is a complete and utter failure to have people who cannot speak English, and I'm not talking about Alf and his mom, who cannot speak English trying to sell you something. Now, salesmanship is all about communication. And these people in India, Bombay, Mumbai, cannot speak bloody English. And they'll ring you up, and of course it's a time zone difference, so you're sitting there, quaffing your whatever, and you get a phone call at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And you get these bloody incoherent people on the phone trying to sell you something. What's your modus operandi? Hang up?
No. What I do is, because we've got an unlisted number, but it's under Sylvia's...
Yeah, well, no good tell us what it is.
No, it's under her maiden name. So,
okay.
So for example, they ring up, oh, hello, can I speak to Mr. Smith? And I'm saying, no, Mr. Smith's not here at the moment. Can I take a message? And no, what is your name? I said, no, you want to speak to Mr. Smith, he's not here at the moment. That's one. The other one is, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith just died.
I've got to remember that.
There was a good one.
I'm
no,
not dead yet.
it's better. Are you a patient of Dr. Smith's? That got one of them. That got one.
I love it.
I don't know whether it's a product of age, but have you noticed how things seem to change overnight for no apparent reason? I mean, all my life I grew up with Nestle's chocolates. Suddenly it's Nestle. When I first started drinking, champagne came in a beautiful champagne-shaped glass. Now it comes in some tall, wanky, stemmy, bloody thing. Who makes these decisions? And now my grandson plays with a thing called a Wii. When I was his age, a Wii was taking a piss.
Do you realise in Hobart, in Tasmania, unique to Australia, 2 out of 3 marriages fall over within the 80% of all marriages fall over in the first 2 to 3 years. That's unbelievable. Women in Tasmania, they don't come with baggage. No. No baggage. This is 10 years, Tim Franklin research. They come with a shipping container. Unbelievable. Internet sites for dating, fucking forget it. No good, doesn't work. Don't even go there.
Now, I used to like to take my dog for a walk, and now when I would take him for a walk, I've got a particular days when I have to take him. I've got particular areas where I've got to take him. If I take him to the beach, what have I got to do? I've got to have him on a lead. He can't get out and enjoy himself anymore. I've got to take a plastic bag with me to pick up his crap. And what was wrong with the old days when you could just scoop a little hole in the ground with your foot and bury it in there? And I used to love to go to the beach with my dog and take my camera. But now I can't take my camera because I'm not allowed to take anyone's photo. I mean, I used to love, get down there on the beach on a sunny day and see a nice pair of boobs and get out the extender lens and snap away. But you can't today. You can't go up to a woman and say, "Do you mind if I take a photo of you or not, Liz?"
The other thing that I have this hatred of the nod. You know what I mean by the nodding head syndrome? We have some politician and he's opening up a new toilet block at a high school or something, and he's surrounded by these hangers-on, and they all sagely and wisely nod their heads as he speaks, as if they're listening to the wisdom of Solomon.
I'll tell you something that really gripes me, Michael Jackson dying.
Yeah. Sad?
Well, is it? I mean, I'm sorry. After reading all the stuff that went on with him, the money he's paid out for these kids and stuff like that. He died. Okay, move on. Get over it. You see these pictures of 60-year-old men standing in the street at his funeral, crying their eyes out.
Yeah.
Crying their eyes out. Get a fucking life.
I'll tell you what I'm a bit peed off about, and that's the fact that I was looking on the Big Pond, homepage where it has local news or Australian news, and it says, West Australia's dropped to 3rd position in the economics of the country, Victoria's down 2 places, and so-and-so's moved here, and so-and-so's moved, and I'm looking down, trying to find Tasmania. I was down at the mouse pad before, No mention of Tasmania. Continually left off the map. Now, I know we're probably, a pimple on the bum routine. We've got, 500,000 people. What's that? Big as Geelong?
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Biggest Footscray. All goes back to 1988, the bloody Queenslanders. Remember the Expo 88 or whatever it was?
Oh, yeah.
And all the school kids running around like the map of Australia. Where's the map of Tasmania?
Yeah, off.
Gone.
Not there.
Not there.
It is something that if you're a local, like us, brothers,
Yes.
sisters,
Dad.
sisters into this. No, but if you're a true blue Tasmanian, it does hurt. It does hurt.
I'm hurt. I feel your pain, Bobby.
Thank you.
I'm not all that fussed, I must say, about Tasmania being left off the map because, mate, if you're in a relationship, the little map of Tassie's there whenever you want to see it. I was actually born on the northwest coast of Tassie, Penguin, good place. And sometimes these days in summer, you see some of these young Sheilas getting round with their hipsters down round their bum. If you look really closely, you can see the northwest coast of Tassie. I get mighty homesick sometimes.
People often complain about, why don't we get U2? Why don't we get Kylie Minogue? Well, I can give you 5 reasons for that, but that's beside the point. Why don't we get Robbie Williams? Why don't we get Michael Crawford? We did, I forgot about that one. But I'll tell you why. It's because Tasmanians only book 48 hours before, which gives people like Michael Jacobson, he's just gone into liquidation, but people like Paul Dainty and others, it gives them heart attacks before they even get here. Then of course you've got the Bass Strait factor, bringing their gear from there to here costs an arm and a leg. So what do we have to do? We have to catch a plane, not any plane, a Tiger Airlines plane, which starts at $39 and the airfare ends up costing with taxes about $200. And try and change that just for fun. That's off the track. We should get more bands here, but we won't, because Tasmanians only book 48 hours before and nobody knows if the show's going to work, and it costs too fucking much to bring them here in the first place.
Well, I suppose, this is about grumpy old men. One of the prerogatives of grumpy old men is that you should be able to grizzle about the young generation or the up and comers. And I know in my day, if you wanted something, you saved up for it. You bought it when you could afford it. You wanted a fridge, you saved up and you bought it. Nowadays, it's instant satisfaction. Everybody wants everything immediately. A big screen, 50-inch television, got to have it. You want a Blu-ray player, recorder, got to have it. You want surround sound, got to have it. And you say, look, hang on, I can't afford this. And but I have a credit card. Of course I can afford it.
All right, I started work with a broken arm from football, had to sweep the floor with one arm, getting £4.10 a week, and I worked my way up. I didn't get very far, but at least I worked my way up. But what about kids today? They don't want to do that. They don't want to start. Who's going to sweep the floors in the end? Because nobody wants to do it anymore. They want to start at the top and work their way further up, if there is a way further up, and I'm buggered if I know where it is, because as far as I'm concerned, it's all downhill from here.
I want to talk a little bit about these Aboriginal sacred sites. We've had this.
Oh, careful.
No, it's not. This nothing to do with any race or anything like that. It's all about. It's about sensibility and common sense at the end of the day. And we've had this issue locally with the Brighton bypass. That's Brighton, north of Hobart, by the way, not Brighton, Sussex, for those international viewers. They started to plan the bypass, and all of a sudden they come across an Aboriginal sacred site. Now, to me, if you excuse the analogy, the issue is black and white.
Yeah.
To me, it's black and white.
Yeah.
It's either a sacred site or it ain't a sacred site.
Right. That's right.
If it's a sacred site, you move the bypass, you build around it, because it's actually it's a sacred site. Where it then becomes grey is when you get people say, oh, let's try and do a deal. So this is a sacred site, but if you give us a few bob, plough it up. Now, to me, that ain't a sacred site.
It's a credibility problem.
It's a credibility issue,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a sacred site, move the bypass, no matter how much it costs. That's it, done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't sell your soul, though, do you? You don't say, well, give us a few shilling and we're going to, and you can plough it all up. End of story. There's no sacred site there, is there? No sacred site.
The question is there anywhere in Tasmania that's not a sacred site?
Well, I don't know. I mean, another thing they recently found is that maybe there are some remains that are the oldest found in the whole of Australia. If that's the case, move the bypass.
Yeah.
It's simple, isn't it? Move it.
Yeah.
There's no room for to me. There's no room for negotiation. If you've got something that's as important as that, move it.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
Now, I go to a lot of meetings, and half the meetings I go to, we have to start off with, we acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Warrawadjuri tribe or whatever it is. Well, that's fine, I don't mind that, but when I have a meeting at my place, I don't say, we've got to acknowledge the owner of this place, Jack Reinberger and the Westpac Bank.
I tell you what I am pissed off about, because it affects me, and that's the bypass, on the Midlands Highway. Sorry.
The Brighton
bypass. The Brighton bypass, yeah. Now, of course, the issue of the sacred site comes into this.
No, hang on. How come they only found out it was a sacred site when they started digging? Why hasn't it always been a sacred site since, 1742?
Well, of course, that's been lost over a period of time. Now, they've dug it up and they've got this pile of relics. Now, if indeed it is a significant find, then they should just leave it, bypass it, right? But the hassles that we've had over whether it should be moved or it shouldn't be moved, or the payout, because there's dollars being involved as well, from both sides, mind you, it's going to cost that company. They get out and walk away. I mean, it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to build the bloody thing. If you've got to divert it, and it isn't really a sacred site, but some other issue, then, you know, what's it all about? I mean, if it is a sacred site, bypass it, end of argument, right? No matter what it costs. Or get the time team in.
Well, I'm not an Aussie rules follower, I have to say, because it's too tame for me, but it's getting even tamer. But even my old game, rugby league, they can't do a thing. They've got so many rules and regulations. You try and tip a bloke upside down on his neck, and what happens? They send you off. You can't give a guy a good old biff. You can get biffed, but they don't see that. I don't know what's happening to them.
Doesn't it piss you off when you're in the theatre or the cinema and somebody's mobile goes off? I couldn't help myself the other day watching a lovely film about Tolstoy and somebody's mobile went off and I yelled out, "It's your therapist, wanker!"
Bob, how do you think you would qualify to get a mobility scooter?
You see me walk?
No, I mean...
you'd have to go through the procedure.
That's right. A mobility scooter is for people who aren't mobile.
Yep.
That is, either they don't have legs, they only have one leg, they have trouble breathing or whatever.
Yep.
This very day, I went down to Glenorchy and I saw not two able-bodied men, I would have thought, on bloody scooters, because one's got his feet up on the handlebars, having a smoke on a mobility scooter. And there's this other bloke, he's got, and they're young blokes too, he's got one like with a surrey with a fringe on top, and it's got bloody big aerials hanging off it and bloody mirrors everywhere. I mean, who are these people and how come they got a mobility scooter when there's some poor buggers with no legs that are being denied one?
The man who would be king.
I think that's about it, Keith, don't you?
Well, yes, I think you're right. We've had a good time, haven't we?
We have had a very good time.
A few beers along the way.
Yeah.
We've like to say a special thanks to the guests that have appeared on the DVD. It took a lot of persuading for some, but not so much for others.
That's right.
Yeah, we've had a good time, and let's hope we're going to do some more Blackmans Bay studio productions in the future. I think we've got a couple in the pipeline.
We've got a few ideas in the pipeline, so watch out for them.
Yeah. And thanks very much for watching, and
bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be,